Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday weekly call. It's so fun because I feel like I have seen more of you over this last week, just because of the different chats that we have going on. And we had a leaders meeting last night that hilariously was supposed to be like 20 minutes and ended up being close to an hour, and just had such great feedback from each one of you concerning what we went over there, how we're going to change up the rank chats. You guys, your Ruby and above leaders are like stepping up. We're all lifting ourselves higher to lead you well and lift you up, raise one another up, stepping into some new skill sets together. So we're excited about that, but this is our special team call tonight, and it is about medical professionals here within Plexus. And we have Liz Crowl here. She is a fantastic senior Ruby on our Guts and Grace team and was a physician assistant. And now she is home with her. I cannot believe you have 4 babies now. She has a newborn at home right now, right there. So she is going to be sharing with us tonight. And then we also, I'm very excited about this. We have Margret on here. Margret Aurand. Do I see you? Where are you? You were on here early. Can you wait? Is she here? Is it to you right? Oh, she's right there. She is right under me. Hello, friend. I cannot wait to hear from you tonight. She is a registered nurse. You guys, we have quite a few handfuls of medical professionals in my downline. I'm sure Brenda does too. Well, I am her downline. So there you go. But you guys, I mean, so many RNs, I cannot even count in our customer base, that I'm realizing, oh my goodness, I need to know how to approach them. And so I can't wait to hear from both of these women on how we can walk more boldly in our sharing and our reaching out in our messaging, even in our posting concerning medical professionals. They need our products. They need this opportunity. And I'm just going to let Liz Crowl actually take the floor and introduce Margret, since that's her amazing level 1. Hello, sweet baby. Hi, Raina.
Here she is. She's a little fussy. So Margret is my sweet friend who you posted this on. I don't tell people this, but since you put it on the post, I will say it. She actually came to me at my clinic and was needing help with restless legs. And she remembers me getting out my big book and looking up options and saying, hey, I think magnesium would help you. And she actually tried like every magnesium under the sun, and BioCleanse was the only thing that helped her. And she also kind of hesitantly started, but I think just watching me and knowing my background was willing to give Plexus a go, and it's helped their family tremendously. So this is my friend Margret.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be with you. Liz asked me to share specifically about mindset. So you do not have to be an RN or medical person to apply this. This is for everyone at every level. And I had a aha moment this week that she asked me to share about. So I just been struggling with some mindset and just like wanting to do the business, just feeling really stuck and not sure why. And I said, let me do this 21-day thought. It's like a thought detox, or where you really dig into your thoughts and figure out what's going on, because you guys, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. They're going on in our brain and we're not even aware of them. So I said, let me just dig. I've done this a couple times. It's been really helpful. And about 3 days in, the most amazing experience where I was thinking about my business, what's going on, analyzing it, thinking about my thinking, metacognition. And all of a sudden, something connects with something from my childhood, a thought I believe from my childhood that I had no idea was affecting my business. There's no way I could have been aware of that. So now that I've been aware of it, understanding what's going on, asking God to heal those places, it's been like, I was just like ready to go to work. Like, let's go. I had just new joy. I felt less hesitancy. And I just thought, wow, we've got to all be carrying around these, thoughts that we're not even aware of, things that could maybe even not be remotely connected to our business at all. But they're affecting our lives. And that thought, I'm sure, is affecting lots of things in my life. So it was just asked me to share that. I'm happy to talk about the program I use. There's an app, and why I think it's very scriptural to do this. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's so
Thank
beautiful.
you, friend.
Can I say something to add
Yes.
to that real quick, Liz?
Yes, please, because I need to go hand off baby to my husband real quick.
Oh, perfect. Bye, Rayma. Bye, baby Rayma. Margaret, I was literally just thinking through this, talking to another friend earlier today about how sometimes it's one thing that we need to hear, and how often we quit too soon before we hear that one thing that actually is going to shift everything for the week ahead, the month ahead. Who knows how many lives are going to be impacted even because of your aha moment, and just how, the number of books that, have been pointed in my direction that I have read over the last 8 years. It's now like I cannot count them. But sometimes in those books, I don't receive a whole ton of things. I'm like kind of zoning out, and then I'll start highlighting again. You know what I mean, you guys? Anybody else? I'm trying to be focused here, like very intentional. But sometimes at the end of a book, it'll be one thing that I pull, and I'm like, that was worth it. So even like when you guys are watching things, training yourselves, reading, for our book club on Fridays, like, don't get down on yourself that you're not having huge aha moments every second. Just wait for it. You will know, and it will come to the surface. And I love just how you put, that in there, just how scriptural it is to really watch our minds and let God heal us in those areas. What a blessing. Thank you for sharing, Margaret. So good. Hey, Liz.
And I asked her specifically to share that because I was thinking about how oftentimes when we are struggling in any area of our life, and we all do. I'm sorry, I have my tiny hands on. Sorry, Brenda, my husband ran these to me. Okay, sorry, I'll put them down. I'm putting them down. They're down. They're away from me. And I was thinking about this. I am reading this book that's called Joy Starts Now, or Joy Starts Here. It's wonderful. And it's not something that I would necessarily think like, oh, this is mindset training for my business or for sharing people or creating income for my family. And yet, as I'm reading this, and just like Margaret doing this kind of separately of like, I need to work through my own thoughts, all of a sudden I'm realizing this is helping everything. And I remember people saying that with what we do with direct sales and with network marketing is it's kind of like the idea of when the water comes into the, what am I saying, the arena, not the arena, the where the boats are. I can't think right now. Not one boat raises, all of them raise or rise. And so when we're working, when you take the time to learn and to dig through things that you need to do, even if it's not directly related to the thing that you feel like you need to be doing. I feel like a lot of times with Plexus or a job or whatever, we can kind of make ourselves crazy. And I think ultimately it's simple. And this I also put together when we were reading the book Built to Last, which if you're not reading that and doing that with our book club or just reading the book on your own, it's so good. And the moment for me is when he was like, when we are doing this for income from our family, which I'm going to get to, that's a big part of my story. It's not about the income. It's about us learning and growing and developing as a person. And that was kind of the moment for me of like, oh, yes, if we get focused on the money, it gets weird. But if we get focused on us growing and helping other people grow through that, and it doesn't have to be specific to network marketing, you are going to have a lot of changes. Okay, so my story. All right, so I'm a physician assistant, and I feel like I just want to spill my whole life story, but I'm going to try to be very very focused on why would I, as a really successful, like I had a very great clinical practice. It wasn't mine, but I had a wonderful bunch of patients. I loved them, and I felt like I was doing good things. Why would I go to network marketing? So in 2017, I was just beside myself. We were in a not good apartment situation, and I was looking at our two kids going, I want more children. I literally just told Dom this, my husband, last night. I said, I remember handing off our daughter, our second, when she was 4 months old, because I was holding our baby this morning and I was like, she only wants to be with me. When I went to go visit you, BK, when my son was 4 months old, he eventually got to the point where he was screaming when anybody else was holding him, even though her family is delightful. And he just wanted to be with me and with his family. And I was like, Dom, 4 months is when I went back to work. And I remember handing over our daughter's car seat, and I had totally cut off my emotions because
I met her.
I
Ruby's
did
on the
not want to
rise.
see
She's a
handing her
nurse
off.
practitioner or physician's assistant.
Did you find it? Okay. We just had to mute somebody. And so that was my drive, is that I was like, I don't want to have to do this with my third child. There are women online making money every single day. I can do it. And I tell people this, I was pounding the table. I was like, I can learn how to do this. So I started binging on side hustle podcasts, and I read everything I could. I mean, I was like obsessive. I was constantly, and I'm like, Dawn, listen to this idea, listen to this idea, listen to this idea. And I was like, the one thing I will not do is network marketing. It is sleazy. I can't do it. I tried it before with another company. It is using your friends. It's lazy. These were all beliefs that I had about network marketing. And so I decided that I was going to start my own business from scratch. And I had 2 young children and I was working part-time. And so I started a blog, I started a YouTube channel. And I very quickly realized I started messaging all my friends who had blogs. And I was like, how long did it take you to earn money? And they're like, what money? We don't earn money. Maybe a penny here and there if I am with these other programs. And I was like, what? Okay, what about a YouTube channel? And they're like, well, and nobody I know has been successful with that. And I'm like, okay. So really quickly, I was like, it makes a whole lot of sense to enter into something that already has a structure in place. It already has payroll in place. It already has people who know what they're doing, who can teach me. And it has a product that I can simply use and tell people about. So I was looking at it also from a financial perspective, but at the same time, we were really needing products to help us. In particular, one of my kids my oldest had horrible respiratory cycles where I would be up with him for 2 or 3 nights in a row, hovering over his breathing and constantly going to our alternative clinics and going to go get more herbal supplements and all this different stuff. And I thought we were on the best probiotics and magnesium already. And so I had these 2 things going on. So I was humbled to the point where I actually started to jump in with another company that I was already utilizing. Do not underestimate your happy product users. Somewhere we all have people who are like, I'm happy with the products. I don't have an issue with them. They are mulling over, how do I bring in money? How can I do this? And if you will talk with them and you will get to know their needs, you can uncover people and say, hey, did you know that there's an opportunity attached to Plexus? So I started with this company. I shared a tiny little bit, and it wasn't the right fit for me. And that's okay. Also, if you have people who are like, it's not the right fit for them. But my point is, you can still uplift people. And part of me feels bad, but I recognize that what my friend kind of led me in a little bit opened the door for me to start here. Maybe this is bad for me to say. but my point is too, like, if you will support your friend no matter what, if you will always have your friends back, even if they don't join your company or decide to promote the products that you want them to, just love them. Remember, this is about your character. This is not about your wallet. This is about walking in this life. This is not just about doing Plexus for a little while. This is about the grand scheme of eternity and your impact in this. What is the impact of your life, and what are you glorifying? Who are you glorifying? Okay, so the ultimate reason of why I chose Plexus after I poo-pooed it, and after my friends asked me about it, and I was like, got online, I told them every nasty thing that I could find. I truly did this. The ultimate reason why I chose Plexus was because of relationship. And it was because my friend knew me. She knew my struggles. And many of you have heard me say this before because I share it often. She said, Liz, I knew you before you had babies. And you have tried so many different things, but you're still struggling. She said, your heart is still there, but you are really struggling. What do you have to lose? There's a 60-day money back guarantee. So that was one of the main reasons why I was convinced. I was like, okay, I will try it. But then I was met with confidence with these products of like, this is what you need to take. It wasn't, we're going to try this, we're going to try this, we're going to try this, which sometimes I do. So I realized I have had to shift and be like, this is what you need. I was met with that confidence. I was also met with simplicity of products. As I was looking at products to share, there were not hundreds of them. There were about 20 when I started. And that was a breath of fresh air. I was like, I can get to know 20 products over time. I didn't have to get to know hundreds of different things and try to piece together what might be best for someone. And then it was other voices that we have. It was third-party validation, and Jessica Hogendorn was one of the biggest voices. I watched her video on Triplex, and because she was a naturopath, I listened. And I was like, oh my goodness, because I think I was added to our team page before I decided to say yes. I was kind of like, okay, all right, I will give this some attention. And it was her video. And then it was the fact that the reason why I think I have stuck it out as a business, I mean, I should say, when I signed up, I think it was the day I ordered my products or the day after. Literally, my friend was like, hey, just so you know, there's an opportunity to make money attached to this. And we got a team call. And I was on it. I hadn't even gotten my products. And I had my husband next to me. And I was like taking notes. I was so serious. Bridget remembers this. And because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to be all in. I was like, I knew from myself, and I know that I'm kind of rare in this, but I was like, I'm not going to just pick something and then vacillate back and forth. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do it. Because if other people can make it work, then I can make it work. And that was the other piece. There was consistent leadership. There was people consistently showing up. Bridget was in my messenger all of the time. Like, hey, we've got a call. I would love to see your face. Will you come in there? And I was like, I felt so special. Somebody is actually just reaching out to me specifically. She didn't even know me, but she was like, oh, it was so good to see you on that team call, which makes me want to like scroll through here because I'm on my cell phone and I can't see everybody who's on here. To be seen. So here's my point of all this. Healthcare practitioners can be intimidating because we think they know everything. First of all, no doctor knows everything. There's no way you can absorb everything that they throw at you in medical school. Nothing. There's no way. You end up going into a specialty of one form or another, and then you create your own kind of specialty where it's like your thing. Like I was kind of known as the thyroid gal at my clinic to some degree. I helped a lot of people with thyroid. And nobody understands everything. And so when you are approaching anybody truly with a healthcare practitioner, I think there are only a few differences. One is that, well, just remember we're people. We are people. We have struggles in our home. We have struggles in our health. We have struggles with our family. I know very few healthcare practitioners who would not leap at the idea of maybe cutting down work by 1 day a week. I know a lot of people would be like, oh, that would be great. Oh, I'd only have to work 1 day a week. Oh, that'd be wonderful. And the other piece that I was going to say is, I'm blanking. Hold on. I'm thinking of a story that actually I'm going to share with you. it was a doc that I used to work with, and he had responded to one of my stories. He was an ER doc. He had responded to one of my stories, and I was shaking in my boots because he and I had such a like jovial time together. We would always laugh, that when he clicked on it, I thought maybe he was poking fun at me. And so I like put on my big girl panties, put some extra deodorant on, and I responded to him with sweat rolling down my sides. And I was like, hey, I saw your response to my poll in my stories. Do you want to know more about gut health? And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of a mess. I need some help. And he has been a faithful product user for a long time. He's an ER doctor. And I just assumed because he was a doctor, he wouldn't be interested in some network marketing product, because my belief was low. It has nothing to do about them. It has everything to do with you and how you present things. And here's the other piece. I think most people in healthcare understand the desire to help people. And there is a whole generation of healthcare people who are understanding that Western medicine does emergency medicine beautifully. We do critical care very well. We save lives very well. We don't do health very well. When people get on a blood pressure medication, there's no plan to get them off. There's no plan to stop the inhaler at some point. There's no plan to actually look at what's causing migraines and how can we change this? Because healthcare practitioners are only trained in about 3 things: labs, imaging, surgery or procedures, and pharmaceutical products. So there can be, depending on the person, some gentle education, even in their own health, of, have you ever tried X, Y, and Z? For example, I was just talking with a friend who told me that her daughter, who is 4 months younger than my daughter, is several pounds lighter. And she was like, yeah, we're having a hard time gaining weight. And they're telling me I just need to thicken up her formula and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, have you ever tried formula? Or I'm sorry, probiotics? Because that can help her gut actually absorb. It could be an absorption problem. She actually cannot absorb the nutrition. And she just stared at me. She goes, not one person has ever suggested that. I was like, it's not going to hurt her, and it might help her. And when you can make different suggestions that make sense, because a lot of medical people are very logical, you can sometimes catch their ear. And so, but most healthcare people want to help people. I would say everybody does, but people in healthcare specifically have a heart for it. They went into this career because they wanted to help people find health. And a lot of people are recognizing that within medicine, they're not giving them that. And so if you can even open that conversation and start to dig and say, do you feel like you're actually helping your patients? Sometimes, I mean, depending on how well you know them, that can be a really good way to get in. Sorry, I'm playing with little hands. I feel like I'm helping people more and more consistently with Plexus products compared to when I was in clinic. So even though I had a lot of freedom to use a lot of different supplements, I think I'm helping people more now. So that's all I was going to share. That was a lot. I talked for a long time. Any questions?
All the questions, indeed. You can unmute yourselves, you guys, if you have a question for Liz.
And for those of you who don't know, I used to work in level 1 ER trauma. So like we would receive all of the transfers to my ER, horrible, awful things. And then I went into family medicine, but it was integrative. So I had the freedom to be like, let's talk about strep throat and let's look at the data. And do you absolutely need to treat with antibiotics? What options do you have? So it was a beautiful thing. And my patients there schooled me. They taught me so much about true healing, and they were doing it mostly through mindset, quality sleep, avoiding electromagnetic frequency, diet, exercise, and supplementation.
Wow. So good. Oh, Maxie.
I have a question for, it looks like Samantha's put up here. I've been telling my aunt this. She's a diabetic and I'm like, there's no plan by her general doctor to get you off this. I was almost a diabetic when I got on Plexus because I was a chocolate lover. I mean, so bad that my blood pressure had gone clear up to 180, and my doctor had me come in every 3 months after I got on the pink drink to check me out, and it kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And at 12 months, I was able to get off of all the medication. And finally, he did say, okay, I will put Plexus on your chart now. So that would be an answer to what she has to say up there. If she can get her on the triplex combo and get her working with that she can probably help her with that diabetes.
Talk about belief building. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Jen, do I see you unmuted? Did you have a question?
I do, for Liz. Liz, before you found Plexus, did you and your family use other supplements? Or was Plexus your first time trying supplementation?
No, I had buckets of supplements, literally 2 giant bins of them, like big, like what I store my kids' clothes in when they outgrow them, that were down in my basement, of stuff that I was like, well, let's go put this down there. Well, I'm one of those, I was like, I can't bring myself to throw it away.
Mm.
No, very familiar with supplements. And I would say at least 70% of my patients were on them. And in fact, I put all of my patients on, I would always recommend probiotics and magnesium, like no matter their age. And so it was beautiful to come in and be like, oh, and I started learning across the board with all these health conditions that when you stabilize blood sugars, it profoundly changed everything. Stable it, bring insulin levels down. It was a perfect fit with Plexus.
Nice. Thank you.
It's a good question. Anybody in the chat asking that I'm missing?
Hey, Liz. I'm curious what you would recommend for people who are, since you were the thyroid person in that wonderful clinic, what should the focus be with like Plexus? For instance, when we're trying to help somebody who has thyroid issues, what should maybe the primary focus be?
Always, 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 sorry, Ellie. Insulin stability, number 1, across the board, doesn't matter what the health issue is, stabilize the insulin and get it down. It's going to impact every single thing in the body because we all take in way too many. We're just not active enough for the amount of carbs we're taking in, and everything is so highly processed. Minerals. So I am now finally really starting to like X Factor Plus. I think it's amazing, and the triplex. But yeah, I think we all need a bit more fats. I think there's selenium in X Factor Plus, right? Yeah. So the selenium is super important along with the blood sugar stability, but sometimes I also will have people also point them toward what's it called? Inositol, which is another layer of stabilizing the blood sugars. That's what I used to recommend before Slim. And then obviously addressing stress. So like if they've got vital biome, and then, obviously you always have to like tweak because sometimes they need to be on active, open up the detox pathways and reduce inflammation and oxygenate their body. X Factor Plus, Triplex. If they're super stressed, get them on Vital Biome Maxi. But specialized.
Liz, what is the biggest way we shoot ourselves in the foot when talking or presenting this to people who are in the medical field? Like, what would be like the biggest tip? Like, if you were to prepare, like knowing this person is an RN or natural health or is a physician assistant, not that we have to be perfect, right? But like, what's the best way to prepare? Because you guys are very logical and are very like
Yeah.
kind of looked at like as experts, and that can be intimidating.
I think the biggest way we shoot ourselves in the foot is we get intimidated and we forget they're a person. I honestly think that I probably would have gone with the first company, except that I felt like my friend was nervous and she wasn't. I didn't feel like she was very confident with me, and she could have felt intimidated. It also could have been how she was just responding to me, but I felt like she was intimidated by me, and that made me feel like I couldn't really trust her. It was very weird. I'm still mulling that over. But Jessica, you told me something too that I wanted to share, and I meant to write this down. You also said that it's a really good idea to talk about like bonuses. And there are a lot of healthcare providers who understand, particularly in clinics, less so in hospital medicine, but like certain bonuses and how you can actually work for them. You can work for your bonus here with Plexus. You don't have to wait until somebody decides that you're worthy of one or that there's enough money in the pot or whatever. But yeah, the biggest thing is don't be intimidated. Remember, we're just people. We do happen, maybe we know more, but I can't tell you the number of healthcare people who I've talked to, including there's a gal in my town who is a nurse practitioner who has basically a weight loss natural clinic. She does vitamin IVs, and she's taking a weight loss medication. She knew, and she was talking about her son who had like ADHD and focus problems. She knew nothing about food allergies and gut lining and this stuff. And I was like, really? So don't assume that they know, but also learn to phrase things like you would with anybody. Like I love to say, I'm sure you know about this, but. And that way they'll be like, oh, yeah, I know about that thing. Yeah, Margaret. Yes, Jessica has a story too about how she was spending so much money on supplements through her chiropractor and pointed tons of people to the same supplements. The chiropractor gained all the rewards and Jessica got none. She didn't even get an increase in her discount of her supplements, nothing. The way the world works now is, I mean, I just bought some bras, some merino wool bras, and I shared that I was loving them and they're great for breastfeeding. And guess what? The company reached out to me and they're like, hey, would you do some promotional stuff for us? And I was like, wow, because yeah, they understand. They understand that our voices are powerful.
Liz, quick question. How successful have you been in getting people to add it for their insurance to cover their products or have a script written for them by a doctor?
I have just pointed people to, I know like I had a midwife who was willing to write, and I've just said like, I don't know, it's usually FSA or whatever. I don't really even know that stuff. I mean, I had to tell my patients in clinic, I'm like, I don't know the insurance side of things. From my own personal experience, some FSAs will cover it, but you have to have like a chiropractor write for it, depending on the state you're in, or a midwife or something.
And with that too, back to the story you were sharing about me and my doctor or my functional medicine doctor and all the supplements I was taking, he would not write me a script for Plexus, despite him writing a script for the Nutriden stuff I was taking, because he got the kickback to Nutriden, but not to the Plexus stuff. And his reasoning was he just didn't have enough information or studies about Plexus, despite me saying, I can get you the ingredients. You can literally look over what's in them and whatnot. He's like, well, I just don't know. I can't really trust them because I've never worked with them before. So even if one functional medicine doctor says no to the script, they can try another chiropractor or try someone who maybe is more open to that. But HSAs, FSAs are totally different, and they're not all the same. 2 FSAs are not the exact same. It all depends on companies. Like Optum FSA is totally different than other ones. And like the best way is to submit receipts. Don't just use your like Visa card or whatever, because a lot of times those get denied ahead of time, and then you're like stuck at the checkout like, oh no, I don't have money to pay for this. So just my 2 cents. I've done a lot of HSA FSA stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Jess.
I have another question for you, Liz, real quick. What would you say to somebody, like a lot of times we get thought, oh, I have to ask my doctor, I want to run this by my doctor to look over, which is great, awesome, very nice. But what would you say to someone who's like, oh, well, my doctor said no, and they're not like, you know these products are great for them, but their doctor is very insistent, like, oh no, it's not going to work. And then they're just the type they're more wanting to just go with what the doctor says, despite, you know what I mean? Like there's that tricky.
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways you could approach it. And one would be this, you know, I wasn't trained at all in supplementation. Oh, no, I take that back. I had 2 days of health training and I was taught that you just pee off all supplements and they're a waste of money. That's what most doctors are trained in, I would say. There might be, you know, 1 or 2 supplements that they say this might be of value. I'm reminded of, so I had a customer who she was interested, but she was really resistant, but she would engage with me, but it still was kind of like, Anyway, she asked me specifically if I could send her like a detailed list of all the, you know, the double-blind placebo studies on the supplements. And I asked her if she asked the same question of the ingredients in her bread that she bought off the shelf. And she was like, touche, okay. And then the real objection came up and she said, I have been burned by supplements that a doctor recommended before. And that was her real objection. And so a lot of times when people are like, well, give me all the details, not many people actually want them. They just want to make sure it's legit. These, you could present it as, well, really, honestly, it's kind of like food. The nutrition in our food is so low and that you're just filling in the gaps of what your diet is missing. That's one way you can present it. But I would just emphasize, like, there are really no docs unless they've done the studying on their own who are knowledgeable on supplements. Oh, and I'm sorry. Well, there was a comment here about, I have had people take their supplement bottle, the label, to their pharmacist, because the pharmacist is the one who does the drug to drug interaction thing.
I was just going to say, I get a lot of those objections too. I'm seeing a doctor, he doesn't want me on these right now, or there's something specific with an ingredient. For example, I recently had someone who said she's doing some special program and she can't have any natural flavors, which the Slim has. And so what I responded to her was, oh, I totally get that. I don't like, I'm always scared of natural flavors too, because you never know what's in them. But thankfully, Plexus has only, you know, actual extracts of food and plants. And I sent her the little thing from the help center. That was just today. So I haven't heard back from her, but it planted a seed anyway. We can always do that, you know, kind of the feel, felt, found. Like, I totally understand that. And I just want to add to that with healthcare professionals, I'm probably the opposite. They don't intimidate me. I think of them as ignorant with a supplementation. And so I'm just here to be like, I have something you guys need to learn about. But, you know, respectfully, like, I like the way you worded that. You probably already know this. And I've done that. Like, I recently had a nurse start the triplex, and like, you probably know all about the gut health and candida and how that works, but here's why you're experiencing some detox. And we had a really good discussion about it. But I have to say 2 things the health care professionals have to know about Plexus is that, number 1, what we have works. It just simply works. They can't say that about everything that they do in terms of root issues and prevention. And number 2, we can earn a brain surgeon income over here too.
Yes, that is something that I have said. Oh my gosh, my brain just totally blanked. What did you say the first thing? They work. Okay. When people have said, can you tell me the mechanism? I'm like, you know what? I can't fully explain to you the mechanism. Here's what I can tell you. People are coming off blood pressure medications. They're coming off asthma medications. They're coming off medications and their vital signs are normalizing. You know, I tell them this and they're like, oh, okay. Wow. And I'm like, people don't need anxiety meds, migraine meds. They can eat food again. And they're like, because that's where I think you're exactly right. What they're doing, what they're offering is actually they're not seeing those results. They just add another med.
someone may have already asked this or said this, but with like the other supplements, like how when you were doing integrative health and you would give recommendations for other supplements. So I've had some people who are doing integrative health and getting recommended these supplements, and I don't want to start anything until I know how like these balance out, how this stuff works. Like, you know, and like Brenda said too, I'm always like, yep, I don't want to interfere, but how do you reapproach that? That's not even necessarily like going to another medical professional, but just someone who's going that more natural route. How do you say these supplements are different than all the things they're stacking on you?
Well, I think every approach is going to be different, but I'm literally going through this with a friend, and I just keep following up through her, asking her how she's feeling. And she told me, she's like, I'm feeling so much better. And I was like, that's wonderful. And I'm just keeping the doors of friendship open. She may or may not actually want to start Plexus, but at least she knows that I'm in her corner. But sometimes they'll be like, oh, you know, I feel okay, or, you know, I don't feel great. And you can be like, gosh, you know, like, are you open to trying something different? But it might take time. It might be 6 months. It might be a year, but keeping consistent in friendship with them.
Okay, I have a question, Liz, and it kind of comes from Jess's standpoint of the doctor saying that he wasn't going to write the prescription because he get a kickback from this other program. How do you keep it ethical in practice? Like, is it a completely separate business, or are they offering, like, do you offer it in practice, or is it completely out of practice, or how does that work? Like, if you're going to approach a professional about doing this to make the brain surgeon income, right? But like, how do you?
Totally depends on their work. It totally depends on their clinic. So in my clinic, I told people I cannot ethically sign you up. Go find somebody in your life who sells Plexus and get on it, because I want to manage your health with these products as your provider. But I also knew that the time was ticking before I was going to be leaving and being home. However, if anybody came to me privately on my social media, I signed them up. I didn't tell them, come find me on my social media, because actually my boss came to me and was like, is there a conflict of interest here? And I was like, nope, there is not. Here, I have not signed up any patients. If they're finding me, it is online. I am not telling them to come to me. However, depending on their practice, if they own their own business, things can be different, I believe. But BK and I have talked about this too behind the scenes, and how there are some practitioners who just will go outside and sign them up outside on the sidewalk, outside of their place of business, and carry on.
Yeah, in office, they can sell retail, sign them up as retail with no chance of sharing any sort of referral link and building a business. And then, yeah, they can literally step outside off of grounds, off of property, and sign them up. VIP. I'd be really cautious about that too. I'm sure there's probably more we need to learn about that side of things for sure. It's exciting.
I have a question. So I have a gal who was trying Plexus with me for like 1 month, and she stopped, and I had asked her why, and she had said that she went to her naturopath and they're having her do a SIBO cleanse, and that she's struggling with completing it. And so the doctors told her not to take any of the products, even though they looked at the ingredients and everything, until she could complete it. And it's been like, I think it's been like 3 months that she hasn't been able to complete the SIBO cleanse. And so what would you, I guess, say to something like that? Because I'm not real, I mean, I researched it to try to figure out what she was talking about, but I'm not real familiar with that. But it sounds like it's a struggle, whatever it is.
I mean, I guess in summary, I would just say, if somebody's working really closely with a practitioner in that setting, I oftentimes don't interfere. I just stay on the outside as their friend, and I just ask questions, see how they're doing. SIBO is tricky, and even it doesn't matter. It's tricky. And it's always going to be like unique to the person. So
okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing, is just like checking in on her and stuff. But I was like, maybe I should ask and see if there's any other ideas. So
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't hurt to drop her a SIBO testimony if you can find one or something like that, just to say, you know, I know what you're going through. I'm glad you have someone helping you out. But I have seen people helped with that with Plexus if you're ever interested or something like that.
okay, that's a good idea. I know she started because she has, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but she has like the rare genetic, it's like Ayler's disease or something like that. And I did find a testimony for that. And so, but it was like such a rare thing.
Two questions. One, Rachel had put in the comment, how do you talk to someone who is concerned about drug interactions in regards to taking the supplements? And I do know we have some with like thyroid and certain medications that maybe we should space our supplements out from and things like that. So that's her question. I just want to make sure it gets answered for her. And then I will have to think of my question I did have in my head. Oh, sorry, came back to me. My question was, how do you encourage someone to, like, they can be their own advocate for their health? And that's a journey, I think, for everybody as you learn more and more. I know it has for myself, of like, I don't have to run to the doctor all the time, or even the naturopath. Like, I can learn and be empowered to learn about my body. And I know that's a huge passion of yours. Like, how do you like to encourage people in that as you befriend them on the Plexus journey and in Instagram and social media and things like that, without being like offensive?
Yeah. I just educate them. I just start talking. I realized, it clicked with me that like social media is a platform that nobody tells you to talk on. You just get to start talking. And so I just talk about that and really just point people to like, man, did you know that that's treatable on your own at home? Man, I just, I don't know. That's a hard one. I think it's just a matter of education and time and learning and gaining confidence. And sometimes, quite frankly, being disappointed by the alternative and realizing that it's not really helping them. And so I think, again, always friendship and coming back. And yeah, the drug to drug interaction, I oftentimes will just recommend a different product. If there's something big that comes up, I'll be like, well, why don't we just try this over here, and hope that just like when somebody says, oh, I can't tolerate stevia, like, okay, well, let's get you on Probio 5 and BioCleanse, and let's do some balance, that eventually their gut heals and they can try it. But I don't push it too hard if they're like, there's an interaction. I mean, I'm working with somebody who's got bipolar and she's got a lot of meds, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with the 5-HTP in Metaburn here. We're just not going to. We're going to do these other products that we know are going to be fine for you. Sorry, I'm also seeing the time and I'm realizing we've gone way over. So I feel like we should probably wrap it up.
Well, we're all still here and happily asking questions, but we do have a giveaway to do. And I know Brenda needs to go soon. This has been so good. I want to throw in a little tidbit really quick, because I have people on my mind that I'm like, they are 12-hour shift workers. 12 hours on their feet, either all night long or all day long. I mean, let's just hook them up with some active and be like, what do you do at night to stay awake the whole time or stay alert during the day? Are you coffee? Like, let's just hand stuff over. Let's go dig those people up. We know they're in our downline, and we know they're all over our social media. So don't forget about those peeps. This has been beautiful. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Margaret. You guys are a power team, man. So blessed by you and your time tonight, and great questions. Brenda, did you want to do our next giveaway for all the people that have their cameras on our calls?
Okay, so it's actually just announcing what the prize is tonight, because we'll, at the end of May, we'll actually draw the name, because we are collecting your names as your camera is on every time. And I want to just quick say, after listening to all this tonight, and I've been through so much of, the troubleshooting with the products and helping people with their health. And, my whole journey was actually sort of similar to yours, Liz. Before Plexus, I was dubbed Dr. Mom by a lot of my friends and family because of my extensive research. And I had those buckets of supplements too. And I just want to say, it is still easier to talk about the business, because it sounds, maybe it's not for some of you, but in the end, when you get business builders, you get people excited about this business, you didn't have all this troubleshooting, all this objection. It's easier to share when you're excited about the business and you get someone who's excited about the business. So I just want to throw that in because I've been through both. And I just want to remind you guys of that. Even though this is why it's good to lead with the business sometimes, because then we're not doctors. We don't want to be helping a ton of sick people. We want to build a business. Okay. So the fun prize for for the people who show up the most is my favorite tentacle. I think, yeah, TIN, tentacle is how they spell it. But it is the bestest little clip-on for your phone to sit and catch video, catch reels, catch time lapse when you do lives, when you do whatever. It's my favorite. I've literally stuck this up to windows, to my refrigerator to get a good angle. It just sits anywhere and it folds up really small to stick in my bag to go somewhere. So it's my absolute fave, and somebody's going to get the prize.
Oh, that's fun. I was like, what in the world is that?
A little creepy looking. It comes in a lot of different colors, but I chose this so I can't lose it. I can find it in my house.
No, we need that at a convention so we can stick it up to a window and take our team pictures and all that. You know what I mean? I'm bringing my tripod this time. That's all. It's every year.
That's with my suitcase every time.
Yeah. Okay. You guys, that was amazing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the prep. Thank you for showing up. We know leaders that show up go up. It is just true. It's been proven over 8 years that I've been doing this, you guys, over and over again. We're grateful for you and all of your hard work. Let's face it, though. It's the 21st. It's the 21st. We have a lot of time. It's also going to speed by the rest of this month. You guys, it's May. Can you believe it's May? I cannot believe it's May. It is going to be July. I mean, before we know it, September, October. Let's push it a little. Let's raise ourselves up a little bit higher, link up, post all the things. Let's do some reach outs. And I'm going to say this is something that Brooke Hemingway shared a long time ago, and it stuck with me. She said, after any call that you're on, after any sort of growth moment that you've had, I know it's very easy to just rush back into life, and sometimes we have to because babies are needing us and all of that, but take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to take action from that heightened belief that you're feeling right now. Take the action now. Don't let that feeling pass you by. Okay. Okay. That's all I got. Thanks, guys. It was a wonderful evening. Good night, East Coasters. Sleep well.